What is up, boys and girls? We are finally here. The day is upon us. It is opening night of the 2021 NBA basketball season. And what felt like one of the longest off seasons ever was actually the second shortest off season ever, being the fact that the Lakers beat the Heat back in 2020. They wrapped up in October and started their season back in December of 2020. This season, they got a month more off, wrapped up the season in July, and then here we are, October 19th, 2021. Man, am I excited. I am all Lakered out. Obviously, I'm not wearing a Laker shirt. Got my hat, got my basketball chain right here, got my little ball. I am just ready to talk some basketball. If you don't know, now you know. Here in Pueblo, Colorado, basketball is like football in Texas, in this city. Many people love watching games. Many people will literally be glued to their TV for the next 2 hours, 4 hours actually, and I'm just truly excited to finally get all the questions that I have answered. Because let's be honest, there's a lot. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to be talking about some teams. I'm going to be talking about a lot of the predictions I expect this season. And if your team is not on this list that I have, I'm sorry, nothing personal. I just don't think they made the cut. So let's dive right into it with the biggest news coming out of Philadelphia today. Ben Simmons suspended one game for content detrimental to the team. He is totally disengaged in practice. Now, of course, Ben Simmons requested a trade a little bit after the NBA Finals, and that's where this all started. But if I'm going to put this in a nutshell, and if I'm being totally honest about this entire situation, this is all Philadelphia's fault, all right? Ben Simmons asked to be out of there. Now you have a parasite and leech in the locker room that's not going to put the betterment of the team before him, whereas back then, he definitely would have. You know, he averaged a triple-double for over a span of the few games this past year, and in 2020, and in 2019. He even had the number 1 seed, Ben Simmons did. But let's not also forget that Ben Simmons only scored 5 points in that game against the Hawks, that game 7, where he became a meme for not going up for a layup/dunk to really put the game away. That is just absolutely mind-boggling, because how does Ben Simmons, a man that is compared to LeBron James and one of Philadelphia's best players, not just on the team now, but franchise-wise, how can he only have 5 points? You got to look to Ben Simmons and you got to be like, hey, close this game out. If not, Joel is not really known for being a closer. So that's where this kind of all started. And like I said, this is all Philadelphia's fault. For that being, he's not playing tomorrow, and therefore, I would see Philly losing a few games. You know, I see this being a true leech, a true cancer in the locker room until this situation is resolved. Now, the only way I do see this situation being resolved is if Portland loses more than they expect, or if Washington loses more than they expect. Because Philadelphia is asking for way too much in exchange for Ben Simmons. They're asking for Bradley Beal, they're asking for James Harden, they're asking for Damian Lillard. Well, if the Trailblazers and the Wizards don't get to winning anytime soon, I think we might see that trade coming pretty fast. But also, we can't forget that Philadelphia is kind of one player away from becoming that championship team that we all think they are, all right? So unless they could get a man like that, if they could trade for Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal, we could see Philadelphia in the finals. But as far as that, I don't see Ben Simmons really meshing with the team. I don't see Ben Simmons really coming forth, putting the past in the past, putting all his personal troubles aside. I just see Philadelphia, they're already crashing and burning. We haven't even reached tip-off. Tip-off is in about 2 hours, all right? And we have not seen them just be in complete shambles. Normally you see a team in complete shambles, it's like in the middle of the season, end of the season. But no, this is the very beginning of the season, and it's something that I never thought I would see in my life as being a basketball superfan. Now, as I said, my prediction for Philadelphia, I don't think Ben Simmons will get his shit together. I just think that they might move him. I don't think so, but if they do, I see Philadelphia being one of the top tier teams in the East. But if Ben Simmons stays and he becomes the cancer that he's proven to be in the past few months, I don't see Philadelphia making the playoffs. If they do make the playoffs, they're going to be probably a 7th seed, maybe a 6th seed, but they're not going to be the number 1 seed like we're used to seeing. Next, I'm going to do the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I did a whole video on me talking about how the Bucks title is illegitimate. It's probably one of the most illegitimate titles in NBA history, but I'm not going to knock on them for it. And if you haven't seen that video, you better click that subscribe button. You are absolutely out of your mind if you don't watch any other of my YouTube episodes, because there is some content you do not want to miss. Back to the task at hand. The Milwaukee Bucks, reigning defending NBA Finals champs, they kept a lot of their good guys. You got Bobby Portis, who was absolutely outstanding in their championship run. You obviously got Chris Middleton, who was somewhat the closer in their championship run. He closed out a very big game, Game 1 in Miami, against the Heat back in the first round of last season. And then, of course, you got the Finals MVP, 2-time MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I do see them being a good playoff team. They're definitely one of the 3 teams in the East to beat. Let's not forget the Miami Heat. They just added Kyle Lowry, who I think, with Jimmy Butler, is the player that they needed. There's some teams in this league and in the NBA that they are just one player away from being a title contending team. Let's not forget, the Heat made the finals against my Lakers 2 seasons ago. That was truly something special. Of course, people are like, oh, well, the Heat beat a lot of injury-riddled teams. Okay, it's another conversation for a different day, but the Miami Heat defeated the Milwaukee Bucks in the bubble 2 seasons ago, and they didn't have that player that could really put them over the top. Kyle Lowry is that guy. But to the Bucks, they're definitely the team to beat. I do think them and Phoenix were the healthiest teams to be in the finals last year, and that's all it came down to. Whoever was the healthiest was going to win the NBA Finals. But I see the Bucks being a number 2 seed or 3 seed, and I see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Against who? I'll get to a bit later. Let's talk about the Nets. Kyrie Irving. Now, I'm not going to go into much on the vaccine and whether it's safe or not. I'll get taken off of YouTube, so I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole one bit. But if somehow Kyrie Irving decides to get the vaccine, the Nets are a prohibited favor to win it all. And they're a prohibited favorite to win it all without Kyrie Irving. My thing is, Kyrie Irving was balling. Not balling, balling. You gotta say it like you're from New York. They're balling in the second round of the playoffs, Eastern Conference semis against Milwaukee. And whether Giannis intended to hurt Kyrie, different conversation for a different day. But I don't think the Nets were expected to play without Kyrie Irving. Here now, they got a little bit of a heads up that, okay, we're going to probably have to do this without Kyrie, so let's get rolling. Kevin Durant, second best player on the planet Earth. James Harden, one of the best point guards on the planet Earth. They're going to mesh together, and it's going to be reminiscent to the OKC days. We are going to see a lot of true breakout performances from Harden, from Durant. We see James Harden kind of taking a little bit of a backseat, ready to truly become a facilitator. He's raised his assists over the past 2 years, especially playing with Kevin Durant. You have to. I feel if Kevin Durant would have scooted back at least an inch, a centimeter, the Nets would be in the NBA Finals. They would have been the champions last year. And if James Harden wasn't hurt, they would have beaten the Bucks easier. And then they would be your champions no matter what, is what I'm trying to say. I see the Nets being the number 1 seed in the East. I think everyone stays healthy. Blake Griffin plays really great. Joe Harris, he didn't play that great in the final few games against Milwaukee, but I think he has a very consistent season. Let's not forget, former 3-point scoring champion. He's a shooter. He gets buckets. But I think the Nets are the number 1 seed. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they therefore go to the NBA Finals. I believe they prove, and let's not forget, we could get my Eastern Conference Finals prediction, all right? I just gave it to y'all. But we got a preview of that tonight. It's the first game on TNT. Bucks get their rings. They're as big as my hand, it seems like. But we get to see. It's kind of like an appetizer to what we could see in May of 2022. But I think the Nets truly erase all doubt. They prove that the Bucks win against them was a fluke. And I think they beat the Bucks in 5 to go on to the NBA Finals. Now, I see the Charlotte Hornets. as a higher seed, we see what LaMelo Ball can do. He's one of my favorite players in the league. Super fun to watch. The way he passes, the way he shoots, the way he has no fear. He is definitely my favorite Ball brother. I think they make some leaps. I think they get in the playoffs at about a 6 seed. I think they barely escape the play-in tournament, and they'll await the winner of, say, Indiana. Let's not forget Chicago. Chicago has looked really well in the preseason. In my opinion, that is the dark horse team in the East. They are truly something that I didn't ever think I would say. The last time Chicago was really good was back in like 2013, 2012. Sure, they made the playoffs the past few years, but they weren't that team that really struck fear into the opponent's eyes. Not since the teams of Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, when they battled it out in Miami against LeBron. No. Now, I think they're a major dark horse within the Eastern Conference because you got DeMar DeRozan. Caruso has all the pressure off of his shoulders of carrying a team to a championship that he could just go ball. He could just play. And then you got Lonzo Ball, the other Ball brother, who I think is improving. With his time in the Pelicans, it wasn't what we all thought it would be, but I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong and maybe be a most improved player. That could be a hot take, but I think he's going to get better. And I see the Bulls probably being in the play-in tournament, but I also see the Bulls, I would not be surprised if they're a 5th or 4th seed. And, Toronto, you got Toronto. They're always a great team, one of the low-key dangerous teams. They're not going to make it to the finals, but I could see them in the play-in. But that's my prediction for the East. I got the Nets, Bucks, Eastern Conference Finals. Nets prove that win, that the Milwaukee's win was a complete fluke back in June of last year, a few months ago. They win in 5, therefore going to the NBA Finals. Let's talk about the West. I kind of got a little mixed feelings, and here's why. All eyes are going to be on the Lakers. That's not a secret. When you add 3 more Hall of Famers to your team in Carmelo, Russell Westbrook, and Dwight Howard, they are also a prohibited favorite to win the West, come out of the West, and be in the finals. So I'll get to more on them later. But as far as that, I honestly, and I'm not saying this because I'm a diehard Laker fan and a diehard LeBron fan, I'm saying this because it's the truth. I don't see any team really competing with the Lakers. Sure, there are some teams like, Portland and Denver. They might win some games off of them in the regular season. But as far as the playoffs come, I do not see anyone competing with them. Let's not forget, Lakers were limping into the playoffs last year. Absolutely limping. And they still took the Suns to 6 games. I think if both LeBron was healthy and Davis was healthy, they would have beat the Suns in 7 games. I just don't see anyone competing with them at all. I'm not surprised. What's the right word? I don't love the chances that Portland has in beating them. I definitely do not see the Pelicans doing anything this year at all. The Pelicans, they're always changing their coaches. They're always trying to get a new coach and kind of build a team around Zion. But in reality, Zion is just a guy that doesn't really do anything. He doesn't really average the type of points we all thought he would. So that's just something I don't see the Pelicans doing anything at all. Dallas, sure they got Jason Kidd as head coach. Luka's probably going to have a few 50, 60-point games this season. But other than that, when they get to the playoffs, they're not going to win. They might be a first-round exit. They might be a second-round exit. But they're not going to win there. They're not going to go any farther than the second round. So I don't see the Mavericks doing anything. I know people's theories are if Kristaps Porzingis gets on board and if he does his thing, help Luka out, then boom, they'll be in the Western Conference Finals. I just don't see it happening. Luka's an amazing ball player. He is the entire Dallas Mavericks franchise. But at the end, they're just going to be like how they have been in the past few years. Clippers. The big thing about the Clippers is I do not see how they will even make the playoffs. They might, I'll give them this, they'll probably be in the play-in tournament. But Kawhi tore his knee up in the Phoenix series and was out for the rest of the series. I'm hearing from Skip Bayless, shout out to Skip, that Kawhi might not be back until March. Think about it. March is where things start to fall in place to go into the playoffs. March is when, all right, we're going to start resting our starters because we got the playoff spot on lock. Paul George is not known for really carrying a team. I mean, sure, back in Indiana, but you had Lance Stevenson, you had Roy Hibbert, you had David West. He had help, essentially. But I just see the Clippers being an up and down team, but mostly a down team. Of course, Terrence Mann re-signed. They're going to have a new stadium opening. But I just don't see the Clippers doing a whole lot this year. I see them being in the play-in. Kawhi maybe comes back for the play-in. But if they do get to the playoffs, they'll be probably an 8 seed. I definitely do not see the Nuggets doing anything. I know I am low-key a Nugget fan. I live in Colorado. Have to be. But I don't see them doing anything. They didn't really add anybody. Jamal Murray's healthy for sure. I'm interested in seeing what kind of season he'll have. But you only added technically one guy. You got Campazzo, who was okay for you guys in the postseason. It seems like the Nuggets just can't stop Portland every time it comes to the postseason. They can't stop them. They could have stopped them in 2019, and they could have stopped them last year. So you only had one guy, that being Jeff Green, who is good. He helped Kevin Durant in that Game 5 virtuoso from Kevin Durant when they played the Bucks. I know that's my favorite series to talk about. But you only had one guy to Jokic, to Jamal Murray. The Nuggets are one of those teams that are a player away from being in the NBA Finals. They need a guard, a true point guard. And I just don't see them contending with the Lakers. I don't see Phoenix contending with them. DeAndre Ayton refused, or the Suns, I should say, refused to give DeAndre Ayton the max rookie contract. Yet they paid Landry Shamet, and they paid somebody else. I can't remember who at the top of my head. But you're getting rid of one of your best players, the guy that kind of gave you the momentum going into the finals back when they played the Clippers and they had the tip-in. One of the craziest sequences I've ever seen. But you're losing one of your best players. I get you have JaVale McGee, who's one of the best big men in the league. But you're not going to be what you once were. That's just how it is. Devin Booker is going to have a great year. But I think Chris Paul's chances of getting a ring, they're done. They're just done. So I don't see anyone contending with the Lakers. Now, I'm not saying the Lakers are going to go 82-0. Some teams are going to get a few off from them here and there. But I think at first, we see them struggling in the preseason. Since when have we counted preseason? All you novices, basketball analysts, and novice NBA pages saying the Lakers are in trouble. When have we counted the preseason? Talk to me when it's February. Talk to me when it's March. If they still have those same problems, then you can truly say, yeah, this probably might not be working out. But no, I think they're going to, struggle a bit. I do think they're going to win tonight against the Warriors, but they're going to struggle a bit. But by the time the postseason comes around, they're going to be on a whole new level. We're going to see them being reminiscent to the bubble, where they're just flying all over the place. It could even be reminiscent to the Showtime Lakers back in the days of James Ward, the Magic, Kareem, all those guys that made me love the Lakers, all right? I think we're going to see that down the road. I definitely have the Lakers going to the Western Conference Finals. Now, here's my hot take for the West, because I gave one for the East, that being Chicago being in the playoffs at about a 5th seed or 4th seed. But for the West, let's not forget the Warriors. Klay Thompson's coming back in December. It's perfectly enough time for them to mesh together and make a serious playoff run. The Warriors are going to be a pretty scary team. Let's not forget, I also have another video of the Warriors and showing are their titles illegitimate. Probably make another one to give you guys a true insight on how part of their championships were illegitimate. But let's not forget, before Kevin Durant came, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond were the real big three of the Warriors. And they helped really push the Warriors into the start of a dynasty. I know they defeated a hurt Cleveland Cavaliers team, but they were the 73-win Warriors team with Klay Thompson, not Kevin Durant. So I think they're going to be a scary, scary team. And we all know, as a shooter, me being a shooter, one shot is all it takes you to truly get on a hot streak. And for an amazing shooter and as consistent of a shooter as Klay Thompson is, I truly think that he is the one that is going to be huge for the Warriors' success. They could have made the playoffs with him last year if he was healthy. He's had just a string of bad luck, and I hope he has a bounce back year. I hope he is somewhat of a comeback player of the year. But with that being said, I have the Warriors being a 3 seed, maybe 4. I had them going to the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. And I have the Lakers beating them in 4. All right? I do think they're going to get to the conference finals, but the Lakers are going to be too much by that time. They're going to be firing on all cylinders. It's just not going to be pretty when that series rolls around. That leads to my final prediction, which is NBA Finals, which will happen in June of 2022. Favorite time of the year. I have the Nets and the Lakers. Now, if Kyrie plays, this is going to be the ultimate battle of exes. That being LeBron playing with Kyrie, Kevin Durant and James Harden once played with Russell Westbrook, Carmelo as well. I mean, it is just truly an insane matchup. And it is a matchup that most NBA fans expect. And it's a matchup that many NBA fans want to see, me being one of them. If Kyrie plays, which is a big if, the Lakers are in a little bit of trouble. But if they don't, Kyrie don't, it's going to be an amazing series still. I do think the Lakers win in 7. I think, like the Milwaukee series, Kevin Durant might get a little gassed out. Harden might disappear a game or two. And therefore, the Lakers win in 7 games. Russ, Carmelo, they get their first rings. And it's going to be a championship run for the ages. Now, quick thing. I'm also excited to see Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green go at it head-to-head this season. They went at it a little bit in the Summer League, but now when it really matters, it's just going to see. Can Cade Cunningham really prove that he's the number one draft pick, or will Jalen Green prove, hey, y'all passed up on me. Y'all must have forgot. I am a force to be reckoned with. So I'm looking forward to those matchups. I'm looking forward to see if Cade Cunningham can truly put it all together. I wouldn't say Detroit's a playoff team, maybe a play-in team, but I don't see Jalen Green really becoming the player that we all thought he would be. I do see him being in the Rookie of the Year conversations. All in all, I'm just truly excited. A few more hot takes before I go. I do have Kevin Durant winning MVP. I think it's going to be his breakout year. He's going to prove to us all why he is Kevin bleeping Durant. That's just my honest opinion. Final one, I do think Zion Williamson will get traded. I'm not too sold on Damian Lillard. Not too sold on Bradley Beal getting traded. But I do see Zion. Where he'll go, no idea. But I do think the Pelicans will struggle a lot than they have the past few years. Zion's going to want out. I don't know if they'll give him that option. They might pull a Ben Simmons and be like, okay, no, you're going to stay. But at the end, I see Zion getting traded. Don't know where, but I just think he's gone. If not during the season, he'll be gone after the season. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give me a like and subscribe. Comment your NBA predictions. Comment your finals predictions. Comment on just your overall regular season predictions. And don't forget, subscribe for much more weekly content that you do not want to miss. It's your boy, Hollywood AJ. Keep safe, keep healthy. I'm out.